So yeah, the Emmanuel Acho situation is getting even worse. It's getting even worse with Caitlin Clark because you have literally the other two co-hosts in this situation trying to talk him down off a ledge and talk some sense into him. And Emmanuel Acho doubled and tripled down on Caitlin Clark bad. On Caitlin Clark bad. WNBA needs to get rid of Caitlin Clark. Because we all know this statement here. The WNBA would be better without Caitlin Clark. And Emmanuel Acho is obviously going to get a lot, and I mean a lot of hate from that. Because let's be very clear. Like, if you say something negative about somebody that gets a shitload of traction, their fans are going to give you as much abuse as humanly possible. Like, we gotta be real. If I'll say something negative about Paige or say something negative about Angel, I'll get some form of, and it gets 2,000 likes, I'll get some form of like legitimate xenophobic abuse in my comment section. Is it right? No. Does it happen? Yeah. Does it come with the territory? Yeah. Do you like reading it? No. But Emmanuel Acho was talking more about the Caitlin Clark situation, and I have no doubt that he's right. He played a voice note, an incredibly racist voicemail that he got, and basically his co-hosts were saying when it comes to sports, athletes to an extent are treated like superheroes, and if you go at one of their fans, it's like them trying to defend their superhero. Or if you got one of the player of someone people are fans of, they're basically superhero. Brought up the LeBron James situation, why the players went so hard on LeBron James when he left Cleveland, or why fans went so hard on LeBron. And the other co-host was like, none of it's right. None of it's right, but that happens. And also you have to take into account that there are a lot of people that aren't Caitlin Clark fans that are just racist, that are using Caitlin Clark and people going at Caitlin Clark as an excuse to be racist. And Emmanuel Acho then basically plays the recording and goes, it's unfair to say they're not Caitlin Clark fans because, they only said this to me because of what I said about Caitlin Clark. Because of what I said about Caitlin Clark, I got all these race messages. And it's like, so basically, what happened was, we all know this, is that there are legitimate, and I'm not saying again, it's a one-way street. Because let's be very real. There are people that are using their hatred towards people that look like Caitlin Clark and using her as a vehicle for that. Caitlin Clark, and to a lesser extent Angel Reese, because Angel Reese is just a good basketball player. There's no rivalry there. She's not tippity top in the league. And they're not beating the shit out. They're not flagrantly fouling Angel constantly. And anytime they do, it gets called. But I'm going to be real here. When it comes down to it with Caitlin Clark, that there are a lot of racists that see Caitlin Clark and use her as an excuse to be racist towards anyone who's gone against her, or homophobic, or all these things. And we all can understand that they're not fans. Like, there's a big difference. And by the way, there are people that are fans that are definitely calling out these people that are in their DMs. But like, when it resorts to some of that stuff, yeah, obviously they are. Like, these people are saying this, like, Acho comes out and being like, oh, you can't say they're not Caitlin Clark fans because they're doing it for Caitlin Clark. It's like, no. They are racist looking for an excuse. And that is what they have as their excuse. Or some justification for it. No. Like, we all know that's wrong. And 99% of people on earth knows that's wrong. And that is a fraction of a percent of people in the world. Unfortunately, all it takes is a fraction of a percent to be like that, to be a major issue. And if you are Emmanuel Acho having to read some of the shit, even the stuff that he read out, you don't want to do. But again, whereas the other two co-hosts are like, well, yeah, that's wrong. obviously it's wrong, but this has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark as a person. Emmanuel Acho flipped the whole thing and was basically like, no, this is Caitlin's fault. And the other hosts are like, well, what is the league and the commissioner supposed to do about it? It's like, they can't stop this. It's like none of it's right. No one wants to read that, but it's like, the league can't stop it. And Emmanuel Acho is basically like, Caitlin bad. And that's where the whole narrative is, where it's like, that's the only thing that's wrong with this. Like, there's a big difference between calling out things that are rightfully should be called out. There's a big difference between going about this in a way that you talk with the league, and like, you got to be very real. Like, being social media, I hate saying, being like social media savvy with these type of things, and being able to get away from things. And unfortunately, when you get to like the size that Emmanuel Acho is, in terms of like his reach, when you get to that size, unfortunately things are going to get more extreme. But the players do absolutely need, and it's not even a social media training, they just need, there needs to be people employed in teams that are making sure that the players are equipped to deal with the social media hate when it happens. Because let's be very real, like, you know when it's going to happen, because something triggers it. Like, Emmanuel Acho saying this triggers it, and you like, he would know that this is going to trigger it. Like, if an WNBA player said it or something, Tiffany Hayes, especially after she went and liked the post on Threads, or about the threat to Caitlin Clark on Threads. In that scenario, teams should have someone employed. The Valks should have someone employed being like, Tip, look, we're looking at this whole situation. We advise you to get off social media for a few days. We can manage your accounts if you want. We have people here to manage your accounts. Look, this is going to get better. This is going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. So just focus on the game, focus on your family, and let this all die down. Because that is the unfortunate thing about all this, is that you just have to let it all die down and wait till the new story comes up. And Emmanuel Acho here was the story 2 or 3 days ago. And yeah, I can guarantee you, again, he played some of it. There's no, people are like, oh, they need evidence. Like, it should be, like you need evidence or proof of some of this stuff. Like, let's be very clear. I don't want somebody to fucking share photos of death threats. As someone who has received them, I don't question it. All it takes is one person who doesn't like you on an anonymous account to fucking message you. And then, especially if there's people, legitimate, unhinged, crazy people that don't like you, it can get worse. It can get way worse. But look, at the end of the day, this is a situation where the only way it's gonna be resolved is if people just, for lack of a better way of describing it, like, if they just let it play out. And again, Emmanuel Acho here, basically going back on with his two co-hosts trying to fucking steer him in the right direction, to be like, yes, this is wrong. Yes, there are racists that have attached themselves to Caitlin Clark, but you can't attach those racists to Caitlin Clark. Like, if they're, like, there are racists that are attaching themselves to Caitlin Clark to try to justify it, and that's obviously wrong. But what you can't do is attach those to Caitlin Clark, who has never done anything remotely who realistically, off the court as a human, might be Mother fucking Teresa. Like, I don't think anyone has ever, like, I think you're going to have to go digging to find an example of anything Caitlin Clark has ever done wrong off the floor. Maybe she eats a few too many cookies and her diet's not absolutely ideal for an athlete. I don't know. But yeah, it is just an unfortunate thing in this, where, and the reason why I keep making these videos is that we've got to talk, like, we got to be 100% clear. As soon as you start dragging things back to Caitlin, that's when it opens things up. Because let's be very clear, it is not okay to go at, like, other than criticizing what somebody says, it's not okay to go after someone, the person. Let's be very honest, especially because in a lot of these situations, people are hot take merchants. Like, that's what their job is. Their job is to make hot takes. But there's a big difference, but it becomes a dangerous narrative when you start to put, like, it becomes dangerous with Caitlin Clark when it, again, you start to equate the dumbasses that use her as an excuse to spread hate back to her and try to blame her for that, because then that's where you see players going after Caitlin Clark. That's when you see players trying to hurt Caitlin Clark. That's when you see players cheap shot Caitlin Clark. And let's be very clear, this is happening. There are players that have gone from day one that have gone for Caitlin Clark. And Emmanuel Acho has very much implied that all of this is Caitlin's fault. Caitlin has literally, you know, the Paige Bueckers ESPY speech that they keep saying Caitlin would never do that. What, Paige Bueckers' speech was 30 seconds long. There's like a 5-minute montage of Caitlin Clark repeatedly saying exactly. I'd say, you know, the Paige Bueckers speech at the ESPYs. You could probably put together clips of, you know, the way it's like sometimes people get people to read out words and then they put them in and make it a song. You could probably, from the words Caitlin Clark has said, you could probably go and find that exact speech. And never forget, she basically said word for word what Paige Bueckers said in a Time magazine article. These people don't care. These people in 2023 attached her into a culture war that she unfortunately cannot get out of. There is no way Caitlin Clark can get out of it, no matter how many times she says, no matter what she says, no matter what she does, no matter who she endorses for president. There is no way. She cannot get out of this culture war. Like, she cannot get out of this culture war, unfortunately. And I think it's dangerous for the likes of Emmanuel Acho to blame the culture war on a 24-year-old, because it's just wrong. It's just wrong. And again, it puts that 24-year-old in danger when they step on the floor, in danger with their peers, in danger when they go out on the street, because the opposite is the case, unfortunately. Like, the opposite is the case where it does go and put her in danger. Like, none of it's right. This whole situation is awful. And the fact that it's getting worse is really weird. Like, it's really weird. Like, I would have thought after everything that happened after Caitlin's rookie year, this was going to end. And it kind of did end last year. Like, it kind of did end. After the weird noises, it kind of did end. But then all of a sudden, Alyssa Thomas decides she wants to cheap shot Caitlin Clark. Like, thank God last year was Marina Mabrey and JC. Thank God it was Marina Mabrey and JC last year. Like, at this stage, can you go get her again? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who might be the single, like, least controversial person in the league, human being in the league. Fuck it, let it be one of the French players. Let it be Astier. She looks like the happiest human being in the world. She was in shock when Kathy Engelbert got booed. She must be the most innocent person. Let it be Pauline Astier is the next person to do something to Caitlin. Ideally, nobody does, but if it is, let it be her. I don't even know, but it's getting ridiculous, and like, it only ends two ways, unfortunately. And because people keep feeding into this narrative, especially the Achos of the world, like, it's very different when you're pulling 200k views like he is, or if this clip has 4.3 million views versus a couple of thousand views. And yeah, it's a really, like, it ends, I was about to say it ends in someone going for Caitlin, but plenty of people have. She just has a good security team. Or, unfortunately, some, like, I don't even want to say the other option. But it's really bad, and I feel like whether it be, I think the media kind of pushing into the culture war is beneficial for themselves. Like, let's be very clear. Caitlin Clark being the villain and the cause of all this gets Emmanuel Acho more clicks. Emmanuel Acho claiming that Caitlin Clark is the villain of all this, unironically gets me more clicks. It's a shit situation all around. The reality is that it is not Caitlin Clark. Emmanuel Acho gave a dumb opinion, but it's not Caitlin's fault. Acho said something dumb. Like, it doesn't justify the abuse that he got. All of that's wrong. Every bit of that is wrong. But again, as I say plenty of times, when you simplify this into Caitlin bad, you justify all the attacks on Caitlin. Whether it be on the court, whether it be on social media, you justify it all and you make it unpunishable. And as a league, you have proven that social media attacks towards Caitlin Clark, even from players, are unpunishable. But anyway, I'll see you guys.